Okay, here we go. The 26th of July, 2022. Chapter 3. Non-dum, not yet maturus. That's a nominative, past participle. Imperio, dative or ablative. So not yet mature was Ascanius. These two are in apposition. Filius erat of Aeneas, that's genitive. So Ascanius, the son of Aeneas, was not yet mature enough for the imperium, for power. Tamen, nevertheless id imperium, neuter. So nevertheless this power, ea, to him, that's the dative, so nevertheless this power to him, ad puberum etiam. The age of puberty here is in apposition in accusative form. In colum, goes with the neuter. So nevertheless this power remained safe for him or to him until the age of puberty. Tantispa, that's our adverb. So for a little while, tutula mullabri. This here's got that I stem, which we see in ablatives and datives. So with the tutelage, with a female tutelage, such was the indoles, which was the characteristic, the native inborn characteristic in Lavinia, erat. So there was such a character in Lavinia, she's the woman here, it was under tutelage that he's in, the res Latina, the Latin state, and regnum arbitum paternumque, there's our enclitic. So the kingdom of his grandfather and his father, Puro, as boy it stood. So the Latin state stood safely under the tutelage of this woman. That's it basically. Horde, that's a basic adverb. Ambiguam, looks like a future of a third conjugation. So I shall not wonder or hesitate, quiz who, and for a matter so veterum, this is accusative, a matter so old, pro certain, for certain, affirm it. So I shall not be hesitating in such an old matter, who can say for sure, I can affirm it. Hikine, the knee enclitic, is a question. So was this the Ascanius, or, going back to the question, or whether this was Mayor Quam Hick, someone older than him, probably an older brother. Creasu matre, these are ablatives, so born with the mother Creosu, Ilio, still in the ablative in column. When Ilium was still safe, which was the city of Troy, so we don't know if this was him or his older brother, that was the mother. Natus, which is a past passive for being born. When he was born, when Troy hadn't burnt down, there's an enclitic for Combs, and he was a companion then, paternae fugae, double genitive, in the flight of his father, quem Julium, whom Julium Iundum, who was the same Julium of the gens Julia, of this is the family of Julia, Nucumpat, who called this the Octorem. This is the author of their name, basically, from where the clan Julia got their name from. Is Ascianus, so he, Ascanus, now we've got a clause, ubicumque, so wherever, and quacumque, and with whichever matre, that's a ablative, so by whichever mother he had, genitus that he was born, certainly natum anie constat. Constat's impersonal, which means certainly it is agreed he was born of Aeneas. So genitus was a nominative. He's already turned into an accusative here. Abundante levini multitudine. That's a present participle ablative. So with the multitude abundant, so there's lots of people. Lavini, this is the Latin for lavinium, and it looks like it's ablative. Now we have a florentem in the accusative present participle. It was already flourishing, utum, as then the matter was, or the state was, and an opulantem urbem. So it was a flourishing and a rich city, an opulent city. Matre siu novaque is one of my favourite words for or, which is used for one word or a very short sentence. So he left this to his mother or his stepmother, and himself, ipsi, novam aliam. So another new city, I'm guessing, under the Albano Monte, under the this mountain, which I think Albano comes from white or something. So he Condita. He founded a new city himself under this mountain, which from the site, Porecte, stretches out in dorso, on the back basically, of the city, Appellata, which was called Alba Longa. Inter Lavanium and Alba Longam. So between these two, they're an accusative because they take the preposition inter. Between this colony, this is three accusatives here, between Lavinium and the colony of Alba Longa, deductam, this basically means it was led. Triginta, firme, that's a adverb for almost. Interfui comes from intersum. So between them was almost triginta ni, almost 30 years between that when he left and that other colony was founded. Tantum tamen. So tamen again is nevertheless, with such opes, we'll take that as resources of wealth, creverent, it increased. Maxime means especially, or maxume as Sallust puts it. Nevertheless, there was such an increase in the wealth, especially fusis Etruscus, with the Etruscans routed, utne morte quidem. Okay, the ne goes with quidem, so that with the ut, not even by the death of Aeneas, that's genitive and that's ablative, so not even with the death of Aeneas, nor then inter mulia bram tutelam, nor under the safeguarding ship of the woman, got a quae and clitic, and the rudimentum primum purulis, and the first rudiments of the boy. So there was a woman watching over the young boy, and when he was still in his raw state, basically. Regni of the kingdom. Movere arma aut Mentius or the Etruscans. So they were not moved to arms, either Mentinius and the Etruscans, or Ulai Ali. Any other, Acole, these are the inhabitants, Orzai sint, that's a subjunctive. So they didn't dare to move to arms, either the Etruscans with their king, or any other of their neighbours, basically, who were living in the area. Pax, that's a nice third declension. Ita, just basically means thus. Convenerant. So there was convened, they had come to a peace agreement, and thus ita ut. This was the terms that the Etruscus and the Latins, these look ablative, with them both agreeing, I guess. The Fluvius Albula. This is the Albula River, Quem. This river now becomes accusative, which now, vocant, they call the Tiber. Finis esset. So this river would now become the boundary, and they've changed its name to the Tiber. Silvius deinde regnated. So then Silvius ruled Ascani Filius. That's the Filius is the son of Ascinus. Casu. It's a fourth in its ablative. So by chance, quodam. In Silvus Natus. So as it happened, by chance, he was born in the woods, Silvus, and his name's Silvius. Is Aeneam Silvium create? So he created Aeneas Silvium, he'd be his father, and then he, this next one, he then, so this would be the grandson of the first guy, Latinus Silvium. So this bloke was born, then this bloke was born, and then this other bloke was born. And from him, Coloniae aliquot deducta. Let's say this is plural. So, and from him, there were led aliquot, several or many, it's referring to a number of colonies. Priscae Latinae. Yeah, this is nominative plurals. And they were called the Priscae Latini, or the ancient Latins. Mansits perfect Silvius postea omnibus cognomen qui albe regnarunt. So there remained the cognomen Silvius, that's one of their names, probably their surname, to all of them postea afterwards, who were the rulers, genitive of Alba. Alba, Ortus Latino. So Alba was born from Latino. From Alba was Artius. I got to look for which ones are nominative and which ones are ablative here. Capis from Arte, Capitus from Capitis. This is like reading the Bible when they got all these people were born. From Capito was Tiberinus, who in trajectu, this is in with the ablative, who in the crossing of the Amnus Albulae, of the Albulan River, submersus, that's a past passive. So Tiberinus, he was submerged in crossing of this river. Celebrate, which is, you take it as celebrated, which was remembered, ad posteros, into the future, into history basically, and he did it. He gave his name to the river, to the Flumini. So Agrippa was then, in time, son of Tiberius, after post-Agrippam, takes the accusative, Romulus Silvius, and accepto a patre, and he received from his father the imperio, and regnat, he ruled. We've got Aventino, dative or ablative, by him or to him. By lightning himself ictus, okay, so he himself, ipsi ictus, he was struck by a lightning strike, traded, and he handed the regnum, the kingdom, through his hands to Aventius. So he is sepultus, from sepulture in English. He was buried in Eocole, in that hill, which now, nunc, is part of the Roman city. These are genitives. Okay, that was Aventinus, if you want to get his name right. Cognomen colli fecit. So Procca then ruled. And Aventinius, he gave his name, cognomen, to the hill. Is Numitorem, he's the famous king Numitor, and Amulium procreated. So this was Procca. He procreated or beget Numitor and Amulius. Numitori to Numitor, qui Stirpus Maximus erat, who was the Maximus, the oldest of the offspring. Regnum vetustum, the old kingdom, a legat. This is he bequeathed or gave the old kingdom to the Silvian family, or the Gentis Silviae. And we've got the daily dictionary word, lego, of the first conjugation, not to be confused with the third conjugation. Bequeath, will, entrust, send as envoy, choose as a deputy. Plus tamen vis. Nevertheless, plus vis, there was more force he was able to do than quam voluntas patris, than was the will of his father. So he was using more force than his father had wanted. Aut veracundia, or this is the modesty aetius, of age. Pulso fratri, ablative. Amulius, having driven out his brother, with his brother driven out, he ruled, regnated. Addit scelerai scelos. He added crime to crime. So that's neuter, I think. So he added a neuter crime to a dative crime. Stirpem fratris virilem interremit. This is the verb for killing. So, the virilum, which was a daily dictionary word from the other day, which means male. The male stirp, the male offspring, fratris of his brother, he killed. Fratris, again, of his brother, filiae, of the daughter of his brother, and of Rhea Silva, the daughter of his brother, lots of genitives. Perspiciem honoris, through the appearance of honour, when vestilum eam. When he had chosen her as a vestal, a demon, he drove off the hope of birthing, and we've got ablative perpetual virginity, because as a vestal virgin she would remain a perpetual virgin, and he drove off all hope of her ever giving birth.